year, making old men proud of you. Forget about the tears on the level.
What's up and welcome to another MoGraph MoCast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt, and joining us this week, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jonathan Winbush.
What up? It's been a while, and we're gonna dig into some Winbushy topics here pretty soon. I just want to say that a lot of us are working through some anxiety right now. It's understandable. It's fair to say that many of you are not in a good headspace right now, and mental health is really important. I think I'm particularly in a bad place myself right now for a number of things, and sometimes it's worth taking a break to keep your mind off things. You know, just take a break. You don't have to stop. Just take a break. It's so important right now. Just keep your mind off of things for a bit for your own mental health. You probably already know this and probably already are like, yeah, I need to take a break. But sometimes it's good to hear it from other people. You know, reset your algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Reset.
Or go outside.
So,
you know,
go
that's the
outside,
big thing.
yeah.
And get away from the screens and stuff.
I'm going for a
or
run.
snow, depending where you're at.
I'm going running right after this. So, blowing off
the
some
weather's
steam.
nice, Dave. It's perfect for running.
It is good. It's really nice weather. So deep breaths, and we're going to continue going. If you need anything from any of us, please reach out, you know, on Slack or Discord or anything.
Yep.
Because I know people are in a certain mindset right now. So we're going to get your mind off things.
Dave's actually very active on the Discord, and I have found that I am very active on the Slack lately because, you know, freelancing, I've actually been finding myself going more and more on the Slack and being a bit more, you know, active there. So, you know, you can find us in any place.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. We're all over the place. We're on Slack. We got a Slack. We got Discord. We got Instagram. We got YouTube. We got TikTok, at least until January. And then, it's gone, I guess. I don't know. And then, yeah, that's about it. So, real quick,
You got the Call of Duty going.
Yeah, we got the Call of Duty. Yeah. Yeah, that's something that was actually on my notes. Been playing Call of Duty. I would love to play some Call of Duty maybe tonight if you're around. Winbush and I have been playing a lot lately.
Me, you, Mixmaster Mike,
Vranos. It's such a random combination of people too.
Is Vranos working for Adobe now? Did I hear that?
Is. Yes.
That's
really?
Awesome.
Nice. Wait, what's today? No, today.
I think he got the job I was applying for.
Oh, really?
I think it was a different one because I had mentioned that. Yeah, it was a different one.
Well, Black Ops 6 has been really fun. I haven't played with Matt. Have you loaded Black Ops 6 yet? You got to get it loaded, man. We're gonna have
I haven't turned on my Xbox in a while. I get home from work, you know, because I'm working at ABC freelance right now, but I'm working there at the studio. So like I'll get home and I'm just like I'm exhausted. You know, there's like 800 other things I need to do than install Black Ops 6.
Right.
Yeah, you worked on the PFL spot, right?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Dope. Yeah,
Thanks.
That one came out great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We've done so much stuff over the past few months, like between PFL. We did a thing for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which was cool. We got to work with Darlene, you know. And then we just did some stuff for the Atlanta Hawks as well.
Oh, nice.
So tons of work coming out there. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, if you need to blow off some steam,
yeah,
Hit us up for some Black Ops 6. Our Halo crew is getting involved too. So I think this might be our new it. Everybody who's playing it is really having a good time. You know,
that's good.
When we were playing with Franos, it was like, oh, this is really fun because you can keep playing. Some games, it's like, oh, you got to die and you got to wait 5 minutes. This is like, it's just continuously going. It's fun. It's like not.
Is it like Halo where if you die, you respawn and keep going?
Depending on
like
the
the
game
Battle
mode.
Royale Fortnite stuff, I can't handle. I just don't do it.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it depends on the game mode, but you could play a game mode where you can respawn and just keep rolling with it. And it's like, it's mindless fun. You know, it's like you don't have to take it too serious. You just go out there and you're going to die, right? It's Call of Duty. So it's just like everybody's just out there just shooting a breeze. And it's been cool. We got to get Revlo in there. I see John Haley's in the chat. John's been playing with us.
John Haley. Yeah, like everybody, and the thing is, a lot of people already have Game Pass, so it's free. So just hit us up. Yeah. We'll
I'll get it
join
loaded.
Join our team. We'll get it loaded. By the way, one of the reasons we're able to provide you this amazing content is because of our universal sponsor, Otoy. They are the makers of Octane Render and the Render Network. They're great friends of ours. I should check in with Jules to see if he's interested in coming on and doing a November-ish show. Usually around this time of year, we end up talking to Jules around Thanksgiving, so I need to see that. I don't know, because we also want to continue that amazing discussion we were having, group discussion that we were having about AI and the future and stuff. So go to otoy.com and thank them for helping to make our show possible. Our universal sponsor, we really, really appreciate it.
I'm really excited. I've been diving like really deep into some of the Silverwing tutorials and stuff over the past few weeks, because at ABC they're heavy Redshift. They're all Redshift, you know, and right now Karma GPU on Houdini and stuff. But I've been really diving into a lot of the Octane specific things to like, so that I'm trying to convince them to use Octane. You know, but it's like some of the new Silverwing stuff that he has just released. Like there's one about displacement within volumetrics, and it is absolutely cool. Did you know in Octane that you can take any mesh, put a tag on it, and render it as a volumetric? I had no idea.
Have you done his foam tutorial?
No, but it is cool looking.
Yeah.
Like it is absolutely cool looking. You know, and then
so
like
powerful.
Adding displacement onto that, being able to take your VDB and like use like a noise shader or something. That's really rad. Not to mention all the stuff that they've got coming up in 2024.2 with the AI nodes and stuff like that. That's going to be killer. I can't wait.
Yeah. I think the node trees and things are just incredibly powerful. There's some just crazy nodes that I haven't even dug into or anything yet. I know you already answered, but in the chat, does BO6 have crossplay? Yes, it does have crossplay with PC. I play on PC, although I can't not get used to the keyboard mouse. I still use a controller. I'm sure that's a disadvantage for me, but that's how I play. So, you know,
it recognizes if you're on controller, so it will play like console. You know how it has the what's it called, like assistant aiming on like Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I think it will actually notice like, oh, you're using a controller, so it will adapt it to that.
That's why
cool.
That's why you can't switch in between. You have to exit out and switch your control system, so you can't cheat. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some Unreal stuff, because I mean that's what Winbush is all about.
Yeah.
know? And it's been a while, so you know, one of my questions for you is, you know, besides what up, is like, really what up? What have you been up to? Because we haven't talked in a while. I know there's been a lot going on this year, from an Unreal standpoint, a lot of changes, a lot of upgrades, and honestly, I feel like I was more in the loop on Unreal last year than I was this year. I feel like I haven't, in my little world, have not been hearing as much coming out of the Unreal world. So what's going on?
Yeah, not a lot. You know, like the motion tools came out. That was Project Avalanche before. And it's still in beta. Like when you go to apply it, it will still pop up with the experimental tag. So actually Unreal 5.5 is in preview right now, and so they have the next iteration of the motion tools, and it's almost like a complete overhaul of what it was the first time it came out in 5.4. So they're continuously, taking the feedback and just working on it. Like I actually did the official tutorial for Epic Games called Your First Hour of Motion Design, and
Congrats.
I dropped that, and then 3 weeks later they released 5.5, and like half of it is like all changed out. Like the UI kind of changed a little bit, and the way the materials are done. So it's just like one of those things that it's just iterating at like a fast pace, but it's for the better, 'cause at least they're taking feedback from the community and trying to make it something that motion designers can actually be familiar with and jump in and, not have to worry about the game dev side of it. 'Cause I know that was a lot of people's friction trying to use Unreal. It's like, okay, it's a game engine at the end of the day. So you kind of had to think like a game dev. So they're trying to, switch that out for the motion and broadcast world.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there what I heard something about dynamics. Is there something new with dynamics in the motion stuff?
Yeah, so it actually has collisions with the dynamics and everything now, because that was something that wasn't there in 5.4. So they actually added the collision. So when you have it inside like the cloner and stuff like that, like it acts more like how you would expect it to work when, especially coming from like Cinema 4D or Blender, it works like those workflows there.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still work to be done. Like I said, it's still experimental. So it's one of those things.
What are some things that you think are missing that you'd love to see?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
So I know they did an overhaul of the outliner, and this might just be as somebody that's been using Cinema since like 2006. Like it's just, I would like the outliner to be a little bit more familiar. Like you still could swap between the original version of Unreal's outliner, or you could do the motion designs version, but I still feel like there should be some work that's just, just on a hierarchical set of it. Like that could be a little bit easier. They have their material designer that is Photoshop-esque, but it's still a little bit confusing as they're trying to make it more like PBR workflow. And there's just too many options. Like I know when, the best way I can explain it is if you use like burst effects inside of After Effects, like when you drop the plugin in and you just have like 5,000 different options. And it's like some people like getting into the nitty gritty, but at the same time, it's just like, I'm just going to throw on that preset and call it a day because I don't want to dive into 5,000 different attributes. Like I feel like the material designer is kind of getting like that. Like there's too many options, which I feel isn't always a good thing. So
that's unreal to me though. Like it's like the thing that I've always said about Unreal is you can get stuff to look really photorealistic, but you really got to dive down deep into a lot of the settings in order to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree, which maybe I'm just getting old. I don't want to dive that deep into it. I just want the make look good button at this point.
Right.
Like I'm not in my 20s.
It's called Octane, buddy. We got to get you on that.
Which they have Octane for Unreal. I'm not sure what the update is on that there, but I'm turning into the grumpy old motion designer that I used to look at, like, what's wrong with that dude? Like, I'm becoming that guy now. And it's just like, I don't want to deal with it. Just give me the settings that work and just call it a day.
Yeah, that's funny.
By the way, Julie just texted me. If you're trying to watch on MoGraph TV, my pipe through thing isn't working. That's why she was like, "Where's the show?" I'm like, "It's on the regular live link." So if you were looking, I'll try and have that fixed. I know some people watch MoGraph TV instead of that. So, but it's true what you were saying. I mean, you don't want to have to work too much on stuff, but sometimes you want that option, right? So it's like you want that great balance right there, but it's true though. The more and more that I work on things, the more I'm more concerned with storytelling and not have to sit down and figure out some complex technical crap for 3 hours just to do 5 minutes worth of work. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. It's also like, I think that mentality is also from a freelancer type mentality where it's like I'm having to do everything from A to Z. to make sure that I am doing this and I'm digging down into the nitty gritty and I'm doing this. It's been really interesting lately, like working at a shop where there's an actual workflow. It's like, I haven't had, none of us have really had to model because we got 2 modelers, and none of us have really had to do any texturing because we got 2 guys who are really good at texturing, Right, yeah. So it's like everything comes in looking super photorealistic, looking really good, but then we get to go through and like do the art part of it. It's really interesting.
That's kind of how I feel with using stuff like Turbo Squid. I buy a lot of stuff on Turbo Squid, right? And I'm just like, I don't care. It's $25. I do not care. That is the biggest time saver. $25 instead of sitting here for 3-4 hours modeling something.
Yep.
It's like it's not that I can't. It's that I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because I mean, same thing would apply in real life too. You want to build yourself a patio, you can do it yourself, but
yeah. I think also that's probably the reason why cinema has grown so much and become so popular. I don't know a whole lot of studios who are using cinema, like a lot of them are using like Maya or Blender or something, but I know a ton of freelancers that are using Cinema 4D.
Right.
And I've noticed that they're a whole lot more friendly towards freelancers than they are studios.
So has it switched then? Because it's been a while since I've worked at an actual studio. Because that was my upcoming. I worked at auto studios out here in LA. Then I just started working for myself. So I'm kind of disconnected in that regard. But I know, especially like the early 2000s, like once cinema really started getting a foothold into the broadcast world, like every shop that I freelanced at, literally you had to know Cinema 4D. And that was just the program at the time, like that's what kind of brought me into Cinema 4D, because all the shops were actually converting from Maya, from 3D Max, from Lightwave. Right. Like everybody's like, hey, there's this new software and it's broadcast friendly and it's easy to learn. So that, that was it for a while.
I can't speak for other studios, like I know Swarovski does some C4D work. I know, Barton's kind of a mixture of C4D and Houdini, or ABC. So It's like you've got a mixture of both those things. A lot of really heavy Houdini users there. And then, you got places like the Mill or whatever. That's a mixture. Like some departments use strictly C4D. Some departments strictly use, Maya or something like that. But I have seen, at least because of the community that we've built around C4D, I'm seeing a lot more freelancers using it than actual studios. Right. Like I think if a lot of studios are moving over, they're moving over to Blender, because it's I mean the costs alone with how many employees you have and then having to renew licenses, and then you've got a farm as well, and it's like you got to have licenses for every single one. It's like Blender saves you a ton of money every year.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I started using it a little bit for some of my work because, I mean, honestly, like I've been into the Unreal ecosystem for these past 4 or 5 years, right? So I was literally just using Cinema for my base setup. And then I was bringing everything over to Unreal anyway, like a lot of Alembic, a lot of FBX workflows. And it's gotten to that point to where it's just like, it doesn't matter what DCC I use to set everything up because I'm feeding everything to Unreal at the end of the day, at least at my current state, like that could change a year from now, just depending on what happens with the industry. But, I just was thinking about it, and it's like my kids, like I have access to Maxon, and I've tried to get my kids into cinema, but all their friends at high school and middle school, like they're all on Blender. So it's like they're using what their friends are using. So, a lot of Procreate, a lot of Blender, a lot of, I guess now Adobe Fresco, because that's free on an iPad. Just
what is Fresco? I don't think I know that one.
It's like an Illustrator app. So I just recognized it once Adobe put out the press release saying like, hey, this app is free now. And I'm like, I didn't know anything about it. So I looked into it, and a lot of the like freehand Illustrator people that like draw and stuff like that, like they're like really heavy into it. But Adobe made it free for everybody on iOS, which is pretty cool, you know.
That's rad. That's super rad.
Yeah, but it's like this next generation of artists coming up, they're just they're on like a totally different level of the applications that they're using. And it's a rebellion thing too. Like I see a lot of arguments. Right. People are like, hey, cinema is the industry standard. And they're kind of like, well, you're not going to tell us what the industry standard is. We're going to go over here and use this. You know, it's the typical
screw you, old man.
Yeah.
So it's just
use what I want.
Guard type thing.
It makes sense for them. It makes sense if it's your first program. I've said this before, but for me, I don't have a reason to go. And, you know, I've been seeing some tutorials and some things on TikTok where it's like, look what you can do in Blender now. And it's like showing like MoGraphy stuff that cinema's been doing for years. And I'm like, that's cool. But like I was doing that 10, 15 years ago. Like I'm like, that's cool that you can do that and you're doing that now. But like, I don't have a reason to go over there and buy a plugin to do what MoGraph already does. But I definitely don't discount the reason people are doing it. I get it, you know. Like the TikTok I made, walking in the room and Blender.
I saw that.
And Blender's on my daughter's computer, but you know, people still didn't understand that was a joke. But that's true. That's true. That's what her friends are doing. And the same thing, like Winbush, you and I, our daughters both were using. They were both using some app like when they were younger, on the phone to like keyframe.
Like Flip a Clip or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was KineMaster and
KineMaster. Yeah.
Now what's funny is I always thought it was KineMaster, and my daughter always called it KineMaster, and everybody called it KineMaster. But then I ended up doing a commercial spot for them, and it's called KineMaster, which makes sense because of kinetics. But I think every kid on the internet read it the other way, and so that's like what it's called. And I don't know if it was that or is another one that had crazy keyframing in it. And my daughter was like just doing this crazy keyframing on her phone. And I'm like, that looks so frustrating, trying to do like After Effects on your phone.
But that's what they're good at it though.
Yeah.
Because, I tried to show my daughter After Effects and she's just like, no, I'm just going to go on my phone. I'm just like, all right. That's it's like you buy them a laptop and they're just like, no, I'm just going to do it on my phone. Just, all right, whatever, you know?
Yeah. Same thing. I got my daughter a replacement iPad and she's using it. It's not that she isn't using it. There's stuff that she can only do on the iPad. But then again, like I was worried about the pen being not the right pen, and apparently she doesn't care. So I'm like, okay.
That's funny.
I thought she was going to use it. I mean, she does use Procreate and stuff, but she's been drawing more on actual paper now. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
She has a whole book and everything. My only thing about doing that these days is like, well, what if I lose it? You know, or something happens to it. You know, I like to have it saved.
What if you drop your iPad in water?
Well, it's backed up.
I guess, yeah.
She was showing Maria. Maria was in town, and we were looking through my daughter's sketchbook. She was showing her all of her sketches and stuff. They're pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. Winbush, is your daughter still doing that stuff, or? Like you were talking about Blender, so you know.
Yeah, she kind of thought she wanted to do 3D because all her friends were doing the Blender stuff, but she went back to traditional drawing. So she has her sketchbook and everything too, and she's been animating on her iPad, which is funny because I bought her the Apple Pen, right? Because I bought her Procreate Dreams for Christmas last year, and I go in there and she's just using her finger to do everything. Like she's drawing with her finger, and I'm like, "Where's your Apple Pen?" And she's like, "I don't like the pen." I'm just like, all right,
amazing.
Again, like,
that's so crazy.
I'm not going to force it. You do you, right? So
yeah.
Oh, Maria's in the chat. She said, "Yeah, the sketches were awesome." Yeah. Maria needs to come do a show with us.
Yeah, you do.
I just.
Hey, Maria, what are you doing next week?
Well, not necessarily next week. That's what I was going to mention. I don't know about the show next week because I'm going to be out of town.
Oh, okay. We're not having a show next week.
We may just say no show next week. I don't really have the time. That's the new way for us. You know, we used to like try and rearrange and do it early, do it late, whatever. But yes, Maria, we have a pending guest for the 20th, but I haven't found out. But if they don't make it, I would love to sit and chat 2 Thursdays from now. If that,
Yeah.
If not, we'll do it the week after, or when, well, that's Thanksgiving, but the week after.
Yeah.
Trying to get.
We're also taking Thanksgiving off, for those who don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think possibly we'll have Simulate on the show. He's the guy that makes the plugin, the AI plugin for Touch Designer that I used.
Oh, cool.
For all of that.
That's awesome.
And very small world. People at camp knew him and did an introduction. I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy, because I was tagging him and everything. So we might do that, but if not, yeah, Maria, I'll hit you up. Anyway, back to the Unreal stuff. I had a question for you. Oh, my question was on the motion tools. We were just having the conversation about what are studios actually using. Like I feel like, you know, we are talking about our own personal experience. It would be interesting to see a poll or something on where that really is. You know, it seems like, I don't know. It might be anecdotal in our experience, and I would really like to know for sure. Like, I would love to know those trends, you know. So if you're listening, you have something to say about it, please email us info@mograph.com. My other question related to that would be, you know, you got these Unreal motion tools, right? So it's out there, people are using it, you know, you got a lot of views. I'm looking at your YouTube page, your latest 5.5 motion tools update, you get a lot of views. My question is, like, are studios using this? Is this broadcast graphics now?
That's a really good question.
You know?
Yeah. From what I hear, they are, like, you know, like the Rose Bowl parade, that was all done with the Avalanche tools, all the ESPN stuff, all the live stuff, like a lot of live broadcasting is being done with it, at least from what I'm being told. Like, I'm not working at these studios, so I can't say for sure, but I have a lot of places actually reach out to me because, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to do consulting, but a lot of places hit me up about doing consultant work, and that's just not my steez, you know. But, you know, like, I know Laundry is using Unreal. I've had lunch with PJ over there.
I love PJ.
There's another one, Scion, I think.
Psyop?
No, not Psyop. It's another place in Culver City, another big place, but like they were hitting me up about it. Royale was hitting me up about it. So I know a lot of places are using it. I think it's on a project by project basis, right? Because these are all just tools. So if it's not good for that project, then don't force it type thing. But yeah, you know, like I was talking to PJ and he was saying like they had to build this big environment thing for like this big billboard, and they did it all in Unreal, and it was able, like the feedback they were able to go back and forth with the client was, since it's all real time, they were able to bang it out pretty quickly. You know, just those type of situations, but it's not going to be right for every single job, which, you know, that's what I tried to tell people from the start. I know there's been a lot of tribalism within the community, like, hey, I'll only use this program, I'll use this program. And, you know, just I've been doing it since the early 2000s. And I remember early in my career, it's just like whatever we can make happen with whatever program, that's what we did. Like, if you watch like the old school, like Lord of the Ring Blu-rays, where they had the behind the scenes, like I studied those a lot in school. And it was just pretty much Peter Jackson just experimenting. Like, he went into it like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I have an idea. And they would just go through and try to pull out camera tricks, and they're experimenting on the fly. And I feel like that's kind of the type of thing like we've been missing in our industry. Like, people are scared to experiment with different applications or different techniques. And, you know, it's just that thing I've just been trying to tell people from the start. Like, I mean, we were talking about the Moto news that came out earlier today, that Moto is shutting down. It's like, I used to use that decades ago. And now that application is no longer here. And just think about the people that spent the last 20 years, like, Moto's my program, that's all I'm going to use, and now it's gone. So it's like, what do? You know, instead of making yourself agnostic, they hunker down on one thing, and that it happens. Like, programs I've used in the past, like XSI and Macromedia Director and all that stuff, they don't exist. You know, combustion, stuff of that nature. So
Shockwave.
Yeah, Shockwave.
Yeah, make me some interactive CDs.
Oh man, it takes me.
Got to
back
make sure you have that .bat file or whatever.
Yeah,
so
the
auto
run .bat
executes the exe file and all that stuff. Like, I can't tell you how long it took me to learn ActionScript, and then it just became irrelevant for me.
Yeah,
like
I learned ActionScript 2, and then they came out with ActionScript 3, and I was like,
3,
this is a total beast. Not learning this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, along those same lines, though, like I am considering checking out the liquid dynamics in Blender a little bit. I mean, here's the problem: is everything's a dang plugin, so I got to figure that out. But
the liquid dynamics are not in Blender.
Oh,
you
they're
know,
not.
Blender's got some.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I was able to. I did liquid dynamics way back in the day. You know the Brograph Brew like liquid.
Oh yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that was done in Blender.
Oh wow.
Oh, I don't think I knew.
Yeah, I thought it was a
you,
plugin too.
I thought you were using the Cinema 4D. What was it called? What was the liquid? I think
Maybe,
it was. You were using RealFlow for C4D.
RealFlow. Maybe I was.
Does that still
Maybe
exist?
that's another one that I did where it was Blender. Yeah, I think you're right.
Is RealFlow for C4D still a thing?
It's still around.
I think so, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. See, 'cause we used to have a license, and
yeah.
Here's the thing. I've been trying to figure out ways to do some simple, easy water stuff without a lot of hassle. Like we were saying earlier, right? You don't want the hassle. So, okay, yes, I know Houdini, #1 choice. I got it, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I just need a little splash of something.
Yep.
Why is that so hard? And I started experimenting.
I was going to say, have you tried Liquid Gen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here's the thing.
You
Here's
should
my
see
beef.
the gifts
So,
he's made.
oh, man. I made some interesting things. It all started because I had an emitter with some very dark brown water coming out of it, and I just so happened to have a person in the scene, like a figure for scale, and then it went from there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so here's the deal, and I was actually talking, I think when I was up there, Matt, I was talking to Barton about this, it's like, okay, let's rule Houdini out. This comes back to the experimentation thing, right? Because one of the points I was going to bring up is it's very easy to sit and experiment with stuff when you're young. So please, like if you have the chance, do it. You know, if you are, you know, you're working, you don't have a lot of side projects though. You got maybe some spare time. Maybe you don't have a lot else going on with, you know, like family, house, all the things that, you know, happen when you get older that are more and more time consuming, right? When you're younger, I did the same thing. I had more time to experiment. I was trying every program. I was updating, doing every beta, and that slows down. So what happens now for me in a situation like this is I have to wait until a client comes to me with something that I feel like, okay, I have a day or two to sit and experiment with this. And the first thing I did, I wanted just a little splash of something. That's it, you know. But it needed to be very specific. It needed to be maple syrup. Okay. And now there's a difference between real maple syrup and what you perceive as maple syrup on the, you know, on video, right? Where did my Skype just disappear on me? What's going on here? Okay.
We're still here.
No, I see you. It just minimized. It was weird. So I start looking at my options besides Houdini, right? The first thing is let's try Liquid Gen. Let's get on that. Let's get on that alpha, beta, whatever. And it is fantastic. It is fantastic for real time for the things that it's set up to do. However, because it is real time and because the way it is limited right now, there are not many options to change viscosity and all the other things. So I took it to its limit of where it could go. It just wasn't working for me to do the things that I wanted. So what do? Okay, I have an X Particles license. I'm going to flip over. I'm going to do some
learn that new Nexus, right?
Well, not even that. It's just using the fluid, what do you call it? The flip fluids and the
flip fluids.
The, like, you know, it can be done as grain or it can be done, you know.
Yeah.
And I tried that, and it was kind of working the way I wanted it. It still wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And so I end up using, like, scaling it way back and using some metaballs because I had to get it done. So I went through the experimentation process and didn't use it.
Let me ask you, are you on the newest version of Cinema, or are you still on 2024.2 or something?
I'm not on 25 because I'm in a mid-project that is paused, and I can't do anything. Yeah.
So 2025, what's really interesting with the particle stuff, and you may actually be able to do this with 2024. I was playing around the other day, just testing out, trying to basically crash it to see if we'd be okay to update up at ABC. And I was throwing basically my particles into a VDB mesher, or not a VDB mesher, but like what's the thing? A volume builder, and then into a volume mesher, and I was able to create some actual like almost liquid looking stuff in it.
I've messed with that.
It's not ready for prime time because there's still intersection in the particles, like actually being able to do actual particle collisions, like keeping them the distance. Once that happens,
you can.
No, you can't.
You make a MoGraph. Cloner.
Yeah. But then it's like exponentially more like
processing
power.
It's
exponentially more. You're using up way too much versus like having them like just collide, like giving them a radius. That was one of my
methods that didn't work in this case. You know what I'm saying? It was that. It was throwing it in the mesher and doing all that, but then again, it doesn't look right. And the
it doesn't because there's no collisions between the particles. Like, with X particles, it's literally just a checkbox that says don't let them collide.
Right.
And so as soon as that, I was all over the Slack the other day telling Max on the Max on request line, I'm like, please give me particle collisions. I've been asking for that for like a year and a half now.
Yeah, just set a radius, have a radius, and but back to the whole conversation though about the experimentation, right? It's hard to do. It's hard to know especially when you're older, when to do it. And you have to set a limit to say, if I can't figure this out in this amount of time, I'm just going to have to do something else. The only thing I didn't try was Real Flow because I know it's good, but you've got to get the license and you got to do other things. So I was like, I can't go down that road right now. So I just kind of gave up. I really am still waiting for a good liquid solution. It would be fantastic if it happened directly in Cinema 4D because I
think it's going to happen in Cinema. I can see the roadmap where they're going with this, and they've got all the tools available. Just once those particle collisions happen, it's like chef's kiss.
Yeah. I still do love X particles though. I don't use it as much as I used to. It's just luck of the draw. It's not on purpose. It's just because that's how it's been. But when I do come back to it, I'm like, yep, I remember all the things. Everything works the way it should. And honestly, that comes back to what Winbush was talking about being software agnostic. Honestly, if you really know the basics of how some of these things work, more than surface level, when it comes to things like smoke and fire and liquid and buoyancy and viscosity and all of these things, it's all stuff that's in Houdini. It's all stuff that's, in these simpler versions of this stuff. But if you know that stuff, you can make your way around, especially if you know X particles. If you know X particles, you're going to get so much other software. You know?
I was surprised going through some of like Houdini Mark's classes, on the MoGraph.com, the Houdini class. I was surprised knowing X particles, how similar a lot of the things were, being able to hop into one to the other.
The other thing I want to talk about in the Unreal world though was Fab, because we briefly touched on it, but we wanted to wait and kind of get your opinion on this. It was actually funny because for a second I forgot the name of it this morning. And I was like Megascans, and I typed Megascans, and it's like Megascans is now Quixel, and you click on that, and it's like, hi, or no, it was Quixel is now Megascans, or whatever it is. I forget which order it happened. And then you go, and it's confusing. Like, now that you go to that site, it says, oh yeah, we're now fab.com. So it's Fab. And I don't know why I forgot the name because I remembered it the last 4 weeks. But I went to their site. I wanted to check it out. But I also wanted to get your opinion because I have heard a a lot of negative about this. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the positive? I think it's probably okay for Unreal people, but like, I was always using Megascans before, even though it wasn't the best selection. There were some staples that were always a go-to for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on with Epic right now, because they kind of just dropped it on everybody. Like, everybody knew it was coming, right? But like, I would have thought there would have been a transitional period to where you could still use Quixel Bridge, but also have them have Fab up, and they would just be working on Fab while Quixel was still there, because Quixel Bridge worked, right? Like, I actually used to subscribe to Quixel before they got bought out by Epic, and like, I remember when Bridge came out, that was a mess, and like, I actually got the help on that project, like helped them with the Cinema 4D Redshift workflow. But slowly they started adding in, first it was Unreal, then Unity, then they had Blender, Maya, Cinema, and it just got to a point to where it will work with any application. And the cool thing was, it would work with any application and the render engine. So if you were working in Octane, then it would know you're working in Octane or Redshift. So it got to a point to where it was really, really good for no matter what software. So I was really surprised to see that they just yanked that, and they're just like, okay, we're going to release Fab, and it's in beta and it barely works with anything, and here you go.
And there's no standalone application right now, right? You have to download all the assets from the web.
From the web, and there's no way. It's back to the old school way of how Quixel used to be, where it's like, okay, now you have your 3D object and you have to physically create the material from scratch again, which is frustrating, I know, but so I'm like, I don't.
That's a really good chance for Grayscale Gorilla to swoop in and get some of those people, because their GSG Studio stuff is awesome.
Yeah, that's funny. It's at like almost like the perfect timing that they released that, because I've been playing with that too, and it actually works with Unreal pretty well. And it's just one of those things, and
it's just a little button, right? That you connect to the studio thing, and you just say download, send it there. It's super nice.
Just like Bridge did.
Yeah,
just like Bridge did.
Quixel Bridge. Yeah.
So what about so they have the page that says, get all your Megascans for free, but that's not going to give you like the Octane version, right?
You get everything. So they're still working on it, right? So like, you want to make sure you claim it now, because I think January 1st you can't claim it anymore, and everything is going to be up on whatever pay scale they came out with. But like, everything that's in the Megascans library currently, if you hit the claim now button, then you'll keep all that forever, or at least that was what they said, right? But you only have a couple more months. You don't actually physically
have to download it yet. It just
no, you don't have to. I mean, I know people were doing that. Like, people were hitting me up like, I'll buy a 10 terabyte hard drive and I'm just going to download. I'm like, do you? But it's like, I don't have time for all that. Even before this came out, there was like a script that somebody had wrote, and everybody was panicking, like, oh, we got to use this script. And I'm like, that's not going to work with, the way that Epic is setting everything up. Like, the way Epic explained it to me, the whole reason they said they did this was, it was supposed to be about artists first, right? At least that's how they're trying to spin it, right? So it's like, they're coming out with a store that is combining all their stores together, right? Because before, they had the Megascan store, they had ArtStation, because they had bought ArtStation, which had its own store.
Sketchfab too, right?
Yeah, they had Sketchfab, and they had the Unreal Engine Marketplace. And a lot of the sellers were selling on all these platforms, and you would go, like, I would actually check stuff out. Like Dave was talking about, buying stuff off TurboSquid. Like, I would do that too. So it's like, if I see a model on ArtStation, I would check it on the Unreal Marketplace, because even though it's the same model and the same seller, sometimes it would be more expensive on ArtStation than it would be on the Unreal Marketplace. So there was no consistency there. And I guess they were noticing that. So that's why they're like, we're going to combine all the stores together. But at the same time, they're like, okay, now we have Megascans as a part of this store. Most people are going to just download Megascans instead of actually buying stuff from the artist selling on there, because it's like, if you have free up to something that's up for sale, 9 out of 10 times they're going to go with the free one, right? So that was their explanation.
Did they shut down the ArtStation store as well?
I think it might be still up, but all of it's going to be consolidated. Like, I think Sketchfab is actually up still too, but like the Unreal Marketplace, that is totally gone. Megascans, Quixel, that's gone. So I think everything is just going to be deprecated, and it's all just going to be fab moving forward. But they said they did it to try to give the sellers a chance to be able to make some actual profit. But I don't know. It's just corporate spin.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I get it.
At this point, it's just like they're, like,
I mean, think about how much. Okay, so I mean, I get it. I get what they're doing. They're making it one marketplace so that they can, consolidate their employees into one marketplace instead of having to run 5 different marketplaces across 5 different companies or whatever. You keep the best of the best out of all those people who are running those. You put them down into one, and it's like, all right, now there's one marketplace to go to.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, what's been going on with tech this past year with all the layoffs and stuff. I mean, Epic isn't, they're not immune to it. They've been having their layoffs as well. So they're doing their consolidating and everything. And yeah, it's a tough year across the board for everybody. Everybody's consolidating because, during the pandemic, money just seemed to be free flowing, so everybody's just spending like crazy. And now we're outside the pandemic, and people are like, "Oh yeah, this money wasn't infinite. We need to hunker down and figure this stuff out." So
it's that now thought process, not
right.
Let's invest in the future
gratification.
Type thing. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. Okay, so I just logged in to do my claim or whatever, right? So my question now is, now that it's in here, okay, so I can get all of these for free or whatever. Now some of this is Unreal, right? Can I go back to my Quixel app, and will it be there for free now since I claimed it, or is that not how it works? It's going to be free on here.
You technically own everything, but the Quixel app doesn't even really work anymore. Like, I literally just tried it because there was a feature that, well, it was Unreal specific, but like if you took a couple of like Megascan materials, you can actually hit one button in Quixel Bridge, and it will make it so that you can paint them on and have them automatically blend together. So like if you're working on a terrain and you have like a grass, mud, and stone setting, you could use the paintbrush and actually paint them onto the terrain. But they took that all out. Like, because I was trying to figure that out.
Really?
The Quixel Bridge just doesn't work anymore.
Man, that's a shame.
Man, that sucks. I really. So my only option right now, if I wanted to do like download something, is I'd have to download it and download the materials and put it all back together. I can't even go.
I think so.
To Bridge and do that.
Because I was trying to use the standalone option of Bridge to download some stuff, and it just came up with a like a red exclamation point. It wouldn't even let me download anything on Bridge at all.
Because my first instinct would be to take every single model and load it into one giant scene and hit save, because half the stuff's already on my hard drive. All the random rocks and grass and things that I download like 500 times. For the generic stuff you'd use in many projects. Oh, a pickle, cool. And so, I don't know. It's a little disappointing. They were really good for those kind of like scanned objects and things. I always hoped they would up the library in there, but I guess that's not how they're going to go about it. And I mean, honestly, I'm looking at this stuff. Most of the stuff is for Unreal anyway. So like, what's the point anymore?
Yeah.
So,
It's supposed to be, like I said, I think it's a work in progress. Like I noticed, because I was on there yesterday, and I noticed that on the Fab store now, like before even it has Unreal, it shows Unity. So I think Fab works with Unity, Unreal, and then UEFN, that's the Unreal editor for Fortnite. But I think they're going to keep branching it out to the other applications too. So it's one of those things. I think they just dropped it on people too early before they had it all.
I think so
out,
too.
Yeah.
I think there's too much confusion about it, and it's like it wasn't sussed out enough. I'm curious what the rush. Maybe the rush was to get it done by the end of the year, or get to a point. I don't know.
Because my question is like, do we not? Like, did they not take those customers into consideration that were paying for it to have Octane, Redshift, Cinema 4D, like, because they know right now they're getting rid of those customers. Like, I'm not going to flip over to this.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. Like, I don't like to talk too much crap publicly, but like Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic, like sometimes I feel like he he's on that spectrum of. It reminds me of the guy from Ready Player One. If you've seen that movie, how the creator of Ready Player One kind of acts, but he reminds me like a one-to-one to that guy. Like he is so involved in his bubble that he has no idea what's happening in like the outside world or how to even communicate with people. And if you've seen him talk during Unreal Fest, like last year was the big one, right? Like he came out on stage with his black hoodie and he's just like, oh yeah, I realized not a lot of people are paying for Unreal and we can't have Fortnite, forking the cost of everything. So people are going to have to pay for Unreal next year. And then he gets off the stage and people are like, yo, what the hell just happened? And like he gave like no explanation whatsoever and had people in a frenzy. Then it turned out to be like, oh yeah, if you're working at a studio that makes over $1 million, then they would have to start paying for the license. And but for like 6 months, he let like the internet in the like a firestorm. Like people had no idea what was going to happen. Like students are hitting me up like, should I learn Unreal because I heard I'm going to have to pay for it? And it just like that's his thing. Like he went up on stage this year at Unreal Fest like, oh yeah, we're getting rid of Quixel Bridge and everything's going over to Fab. You're going to have to pay for everything. And then leaves. And it's just like, damn, dude, like you keep doing this every single like no explanation whatsoever. And people, people panic online. And that's where the script came from. Like, someone made a script like, okay, download all the mega scans now because they're going to take it away from us. And they actually shut down the website that first day because everybody got that script and everybody was trying to download everything that it just, it killed the servers and all that stuff. And it's just like, they don't think about this stuff ahead of time. They just go out there, he makes an announcement, and then just leaves, and people are just like what's going on? Like,
kind of like Matt and I used to have an old boss. We used to call him F your Fridays because he would always come back in town Friday afternoons when you're getting ready to leave, and he'd be ready to just start with whatever new thing was coming up from whatever he sold.
He'd be intoxicated as well most of the time. He'd go take an extended lunch, get incredibly intoxicated. It's okay. He's dead now.
Yeah, he is dead now.
Oh, damn.
He was not a good person. He was not. He was not a good person. He was not a good person. And he would come in and say inappropriate things and all this stuff and mess up your Fridays, and we call it we started it was Firestarter Fridays, and we started calling it F Your Fridays because it's like you think you're good, you're about to finish a project, you're about to wrap up, you might be able to get out at 4:30 instead of 5, and all of a sudden it's 3:55 and he comes storming in the doors, and so we were like, yeah, it's F Your Friday because all of a sudden you're staying until 7 p.m., buddy.
Yep.
They used to do that to me at Happy Madison like a lot. They actually, it happened to me because I was so ambitious as a young artist that I was just trying to get on every single project that I could. And it got to the point to where I probably did it to myself, but they would start calling the term getting Winbushed because it's like, 5 p.m. would come in and then the producer would come in with the menus like, oh, yeah, you got to stay because we got to finish this project out. And it's like I would be on 3 projects just because I'm like, I wanted to be on everything. And so every time, a producer or art director would come into the staple with a menu, an artist would be like, oh, man, I just got Winbushed because it's 5:30 and now I got to stay late. I'm just like, I hated how that term became my term, but it's just like... it was a thing for years there, but that always sucks when you think you're good, you're going home and producer come in like, oh no, here's the dinner menu, they said you were staying late.
So it's too bad.
All right,
but
call my wife up like,
pizza.
don't wait up for me.
yeah Oh gosh, I hated that so much. Is there any other Unreal stuff going on? Is there anybody in the chat who might have an Unreal question about something? We still got about 10 minutes, so.
Yeah. I mean, I know I brought up Notch before. That's kind of like my new thing. Like Unreal's cool, but I don't know. I got ADHD, right? So it's just like whatever new shiny thing pops up in front of me, I'm just like, all right, let me look over here and
let me look at it. And then make a tutorial on it and post it
immediately. I held off doing a tutorial just yet because I want to figure it out a little bit more. But like Notch, like the motion design tools that are in a Notch beta right now, I totally just kind of fell in love with it just because like it's all node based, but they added a timeline to it too. So it's kind of After Effects-esque as well. And so there's just like a lot of cool stuff that you could do with it. Plus, it gives me a reason to get back into music making a little bit, because it's like I have all this MIDI equipment, keyboards, and beat machines and crap, and that ties directly into Notch, right? Because I mean, it started as
You're
like
speaking Dave's language right now.
Well, yeah, because it's like Touch Designer too. Have you messed
yeah,
with Touch
exactly.
Designer?
Yeah,
because that would be right up your alley too, I think, if you haven't. But
it keeps coming up on my radar. I just haven't had the chance to. The only reason I jumped into Notch was because I met the people at Half-Res, and so that kind of gave me the initiative to jump in. But yeah, Touch Designer keeps popping up too, and I'm just like we talked about, like I love experimenting with stuff, and just anything that I could do that's kind of just weird, not a left field, like I'm all about, you know.
Yeah.
Touch Designer, to me, I've said this before, it feels a lot like if you love espresso, you're going to love it. If you're good with nodes, you're going to love it. And my favorite part about it is the fact that it is, you know, ChatGPT is good for some things, not great for some things, whatever. My biggest thing when I'm learning a program is that I have to have, I would rather have someone sit down and tell me exactly what to do when I'm doing a project. Right? Like same thing with Blender. If I could sit down and someone says, click this button, now do this, now do this, now do this, like a tutorial. And then I'm asking, well, what if I want to do this? And they're like, oh, all you have to do is like add this node. It's easier for me to work in that mindset and work in that workflow to learn something new than it is to sit in front of a manual or do a tutorial that might not necessarily be doing what I want to do. Right? Well, let's learn the interface, derp. It's like, that's not the way I learn. You know, my way of learning is doing. And with ChatGPT specifically, and it might not work for everything, but specifically with Touch Designer, I barely had to do any Googling. I was sitting with ChatGPT on the left monitor and Touch Designer on the right monitor, and I was giving it screenshots of what I was doing and saying, what do I do next? And if you have a chance to do that experimentation at some point, I would suggest it, because especially the way it works with Ableton, it's crazy. Like, it is so good, and it is just so familiar, and it's fast. You know, it doesn't have a lot of crashes and things. It's a very stable program, and we might hear about more about that next week, I guess. But but I'm also interested in how things like that and Notch would work with things like Cinema and Unreal, or you know, how can you pipe this into another thing and do mad scientist creations, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that might be my 2025, because, like, honestly, I was starting to just get bored with Unreal just because I was in it so much, and it's kind of like I need that spark again. Like 2019 was my big. I was getting bored with After Effects and Cinema, and then Unreal just happened for me, and that kind of ignited everything for me again. But now it's like 5 years in, it's kind of like it's becoming stale to me again. So it's kind of like, what's that next thing that gets me excited to just go in and want to open up the program and just learn? Like, I don't know, that for me, that's just like the big thing. Like, I like to go in like empty-headed and just kind of learn and be able to experiment, and everything's new. It's one of those things where it's like, it might be the simplest thing to somebody else. Like, you just learn how to use the cloner or something. Like, it has a cloner in there, and it's like you go in and you learn it. You're like, oh man, this is awesome, because it's new to you. It might not be new to other people, and they might look at you crazy, like it's just the cloner. Like, but you know, that's not a big deal. But it's like it's new to you, and it's a big deal because you actually figured it out. You know, so it's like I'm in that state right now with everything in Notch.
That's cool.
What is Notch's niche? Notch's niche.
Concert. Like live concert visuals is what it mainly used for. So anything that's live graphics on like a large scale, like they use it a lot for the Vegas sphere. A lot of that stuff is Notch. I want to say like all the Taylor Swift graphics for her big world tour, like all the stuff on the screens and monitors, that's all being ran by Notch. So like anything that's like done on like a grand scale, that's usually typically ran through those type of programs. But I think they might be hitting a limit with that, you know, just having that as their niche. So that's why they're trying to break out and jump into like maybe some broadcast design stuff. But I know we talked about pricing earlier. That's going to be the big issue with freelancers and studios and stuff, because they're not used to paying those astronomical type prices. But I mean, maybe they break it off into like Notch motion design or something, and that becomes like it's I don't know, but
because I'm trying to figure out where it lays with everything else. Because it's been around for a while. A lot of people, even I have clients that need a Notch codec, you know, for certain things, and I did download it like when it first came out, and the description to me when it first came out was, it's like After Effects, but it's live, right? But then other people are using things like Touch Designer, which I feel like is an incredible way, especially when it comes to assigning monitors and displays and resolutions and everything. Like, it's so good. And then there's Resolume, which a lot of people use for that as well. It's like that's what Dead Mouse was using when we were working with him and stuff. He had piping things through things and all of that. I still don't like, I'm still trying to figure out where some of these things lay, because in my opinion, I feel like Touch Designer is like the thing. And Touch Designer for me was one of those programs that I opened up and instantly just got along with. And I feel like I'm moderately knowledgeable to where I could sit down and, I mean, I sat down at camp and gave a tutorial on it, and I just learned it, right? But I couldn't do that with Blender, even though I've opened it and done the same thing in Blender. So there was something about that drew me to it. And I don't really know everything about Resolume and Notch, so it would be interesting to know where all of these fall in. It's mostly live stuff, you know? Right.
And I feel like you're so engraved in Touch Designer that, you know, like Notch might not even impress you in those regards. Because, like the example you gave with you jump into Blender and you're just not impressed, right? And that's because you've been using Cinema for so long. Right. Blender is almost identically the same program. So it's almost like anything you do in Blender, it's not going to impress you because you already know that you could do it inside of Cinema fairly well. So I think it's going to be the same thing with Notch. Like, you're ingrained into Notch, so you look at, or you're ingrained into Touch Designer, so you might look at Notch like, I can already do that in Touch Designer, because they kind of are on the same spectrum, right? So it might be, that might be it. And, you know, you got ingrained into Touch Designer because Touch Designer to you is how Unreal was for me. Like, it's so out of left field from what you're typically doing in your day-to-day with After Effects and Cinema that it's almost like a breath of fresh air, right? So it's like, here's this brand new program that could do all this other stuff that I couldn't do before. It's real time, and, you know, it's a playground for you at the end of the day. And that's what it's all about. You're having fun rather than feel like you're working.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it started as an experiment for me anyway. It was just for doing stuff for Camp MoGraph. I had opened it on occasion, but, you know, that's one of the rare cases that I actually had time to sit down and experiment with something new instead of worrying about paying the bills. So,
yeah, the bills suck. But
yeah, they do. Anything else before we take off? Or...
I did put one link in the chat. I wanted to give a shout out to in our chat, our Skype chat. I think I did.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah. So I wanted to give a shout out to Joe Herman. He spoke at NAB New York, but I'm not sure if anyone, you know, if you didn't catch his NAB Maxon presentation, check out this video. It's so good. He goes into all the new stuff in Cinema 4D 2025, goes into the, you know, spline emitter and like the spline follow and stuff. It is really cool stuff.
That's nice.
So I've watched, I saw his NAB New York one and just so happened to see this one as well. So I wanted to give him a shout out because it's really cool. I didn't see any of the particle advection stuff using Pyro. That is super rad. Really, really cool stuff. So go check out his YouTube page at Joe Herman.
How often does he post? Because like I'm sure he's had this for a while. I'm sure he's had this channel for a while, but let's see, 3 months ago. But he has other stuff on his channel, like he's playing music, and I guess he kind of has a mix of stuff, like technology. He's somebody that I don't get to catch up with much unless I'm in New York. I love Joe. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say, forget any Fortnite players out there, my map with Wu-Tang Method Man is out, so go play that.
Nice.
Yeah,
and it's all side-scrolling, right?
Side-scrolling, yeah. It took a lot of inspiration from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Miyamoto. Just like I studied up a lot.
Let me ask you a question.
Do you have a clip of that I could bring up somewhere? Is it on your YouTube?
Do you?
I have a gameplay on my YouTube.
Do you are you able to bring in your own characters and stuff into Unreal? You built that in Unreal for Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what you showed off at NAB,
bring in like
right?
your own like rigged characters and things and build games out that way, or do you have to use theirs? Like
you could do it for NPCs. Like I'm actually in the game. Like I scanned myself and made a 3D copy, so I'm in there, but not as a playable character, as an NPC. Because Fortnite people are paying for skins and stuff like that. Like that's the whole ecosystem. So the playable characters can't be swapped out, but any character in game, or you can even have like NPCs follow you if you want to have like have them be on your team and stuff. You can have those characters be custom characters and things of that nature. So
that's cool, because I built I've been doing a bunch of the NES development stuff. Building NES games and stuff, and like I'm curious about how difficult it would be to like translate. The
world building part, I could see you because they like when I built this out, like I had to actually do everything by hand with restraints and everything to make it be a side scroller. But since then, they actually added the side scroller module. So literally, you just click and drag it in, and now you can make a side scroller and not have to do all the BS that I had to do when I made it. But I could see you jumping in there and using your same elements and be able to make a platformer in there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool.
You broke this down in your
Yeah, no, thank you. It was one of those passion projects that I got really excited about, and we actually won best action platformer at the Vega Awards after being out for like 2 months. So it was a good vindication that I was on the right path.
Yeah.
Did you did this for your NAB presentation? You showed some of this off, right?
Yeah.
At Maxon, like the integration. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Your channel, by the way, let's bring up your channel, Jonathan Winbush on YouTube. If anybody's interested, go check that out there. You got a lot of it. How often do you post a video? Like
I try to stay on there once a week. Because I used to, during the pandemic, I was going nuts, right? 3-4 times a week. But, I had more time. But I just to kind of keep my rhythm going, I try to at least do like once a week, because I noticed that if I miss it, I kind of lose that pacing, and it's almost like trying to learn how to ride a bike with training wheels again. So just to kind of keep myself, just in this engagement and being able to talk in front of camera and still do, everything on screen, I try to do at least once a month, or not once a week. I mean,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and there's something to having all your stuff set up and ready to go easily, right? I mean, like being able to just turn the cameras on and hit go instead of having to like, I got to get my camera out, my lights and all that. If you're going to get into that kind of thing, you got to make it as easy as possible for you to just sit down and hit record.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of my ideas come from when I'm doing client work, right? If I get stuck and I figure something out, then it's just like, okay, let me record how I did that, and then just do the edit later or whatever.
Yeah.
But
mostly to remind yourself how you did it, right?
Yeah, probably all my views probably just come from me just watching my own stuff. I mean, that's how I got started off, right? Like before I did YouTube, like I literally would screen capture my work sessions just so I had like a record of if I ran into an issue, is 6 months down the line on a different project, if I had the same issue, I would be able to pull up that screen capture of like, okay, that's what I did inside of Cinema, to be able to figure that out. And I don't have to go online and try to, waste the whole day figuring out the same problem that I already solved before. So, I actually just released a tutorial last week, a tutorial on how I make tutorials, because that question kept coming up. So kind of did the exception thing. Like, okay, this is my process for making tutorials. So if anybody's interested in how I do it,
That's so meta, dude. Yo, dog, we heard you like tutorials
publicly, and just out. People are like, "How do you make tutorials?" So it's like, all right, let me just make a tutorial on how to make a tutorial, and just put everybody there.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yo, dog, I heard you like tutorials, so we put tutorials in your tutorials.
Yeah, bring up the exhibit. I should have used that for my thumbnail.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny.
Oh man.
Yeah. Also, if you are interested in seeing a little bit of behind the scenes of some Octane renders We have started doing a new series called Behind the Renders from the Render Network. We do have that one with Patrick 4D up now. He goes into some of the details. He goes into his node trees and stuff here and shows how he makes this delicious looking dove bar. And
it's really cool. Like, we start off with one thing and he's like, this is how you make it something else. And like, really just through some very simple clicking around, it's like he instantly changes it from like a creamy nougat into like a creamy caramel or something. It's really neat.
Patrick's a beast. I got to see him do that stuff live, and I'm just like, dang, dude. Like, it's so simple, but it seems more complex than what it is. And it's crazy, you know.
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. You know? I would have thought that his material graph would just be like, you know, when you go on people's tutorials and you just see like 800 nodes, and you're just like, nah, dude, it's like 4 nodes. And I'm just like, all right, that's something I could get with, you know.
Some delicious looking textures. We also did just a quick article on it as well, if you're looking for the cliff notes, but we do have it posted on our site. You know, the Digital Chef, if you want to check it out. It's got a little bit of the snippets from the interview. It's got some artwork, and then it has a full interview you can watch as well. So that's also posted. Look at those delicious renders.
Yeah,
those are awesome.
God, that's so good. So good. Man,
Axon needs to be blowing them up more. Like, honestly, like an artist like that, it's like, I don't like, I know he's done a few talks and stuff, but you would think they would really be pushing him out there. You know, like he does some awesome work. So
he's doing some stuff in the ZBrush area, you know, quite a bit with them. So Winbush, your handle and just about everything is Jonathan Winbush, Jon. Right?
Athan. Yep. Just my name there.
Instagram and all the things. So make sure you check Jonathan Winbush out on every platform. Follow him on everything.
I have a tech channel too now. It's just at Winbush here. So if anybody wants to look at any tech stuff, because I was posting tech sponsored stuff on my main channel and people were getting pissed at me. So I'm like, okay, let me start a separate channel.
Gotta pay the bills somehow, right?
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah, I do.
You know how people get beat. So I'm like, well, you know, I kind of I did like this YouTube pickleball tournament a while back, and I got to meet Justine there and just got to talk with her and stuff, and just kind of get her thought process on how to do tech stuff. And I'm like, I need a separate channel to do this stuff, because that could be a whole world into itself. So
yeah, for sure.
Justine has been around for a long time. Right?
She's the first tech YouTuber, I want to say, like since 2006, I think.
Yeah, I think Lance has a funny story about her.
Oh, really?
I think some graphics he did for I believe it was her, won an Emmy or something, and she gave him like no credit for it. He was a little disappointed.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah. But it's a name I haven't heard in a while, if it's who I was thinking of. I mean, we're talking like 2010, 2012 era is when all that started, right?
Yeah, I think she blew up because she did like the first iPhone review on like YouTube or something, and that was before people were doing like tech reviews and stuff like that. So Apple immediately just like latched onto her, and she kind of just blew up from there. But yeah, she's actually from my hometown, which kind of helped out. So I was able to break the ice that way. I'm like, yeah, you're from Pittsburgh, right? And she like blew up. You're like, yeah. And then we started talking from there. So
go Eagles.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, man, for chilling with us this afternoon and talking all the things. Again, we're gonna play online. If anyone wants to join us, just you know how to hit us up. Just find us. We'll add you to the group, to the click.
Yeah. And even if you don't,
I just realized I said go Eagles on Pittsburgh. No, you got to go Steelers. Sorry, I messed that up.
No, everybody gets it confused. That's why I laugh.
Yeah.
Everybody's always like, "You're from Philly, right?" I'm like, yeah. Other side of the state, but sure, I get it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt. Cool. Definitely watch the channel though, because I just modded my Dreamcast, so I've been doing some retro stuff on there as well.
Okay,
nice.
Cool. Did you add the external SD card or whatever to load all the games into it? Got rid of nice, dude. That's awesome.
My laser on my Dream, because I have my OG Dreamcast from way back in the day. My wife actually bought it for me. It's my very first gift she bought me, but the laser on it broke recently, and I tried everything to fix it. It just wouldn't work. So I'm like, okay, let me mod it out. And so now I can load games onto the SD card, and it works way better than it did before, which is awesome.
Yeah, I've looked at that stuff. I've even considered buying a Dreamcast just so I can mod it.
It's easy. It literally took me 10 minutes to do, and I got the HDMI converter for it too. So now, even though the Dreamcast is at 640p, everything is being upscaled and is sharp, and it's been It's been a blast just going back and playing those old school games again.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Well, we'll talk to you soon, Winbush. Hopefully tonight. Thanks again. Make sure you check us out at mograph.com, mograph.com/TV, youtube.com/mograph. We're on TikTok till January, and Instagram and everything else. And until next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Winbush. I didn't know I get to sign out. All right, Winbush.
Take care. Have a good one.
See y'all later.
Pretty good, I guess. Introducing MoGraph TV from MoGraph.com, a free motion graphics and animation channel streaming your favorite content and favorite artists 24/7. MoGraph TV features motion graphics tutorials, talks, tips, inspiration, and replays of popular live shows. We offer something for all levels of designer, from introductory tutorials to high-level breakdowns and everything in between.
That track looks great to me.
MoGraph TV features software like Cinema 4D, After Effects, Unreal Engine,
What up?
third-party plugins, and other 2D and 3D software. We also feature live motion events, short-form clips, crypto art, and even a little photo and video editing. Learn from the people that inspire you most, and stay up to date on all the latest industry news, announcements, and community events. You'll also see exclusive offers only available by watching. With 3 8-hour blocks each day, you'll be sure to catch everything, no matter what your time zone. Keep it on as a companion to your workday and learn something new. Meet a friend, watch a demo, catch a classic tutorial, or even find new inspiration.
That's a British word?
A lot of things are British words.
Yes, good luck with all your projects.
MoGraph TV, television for the design community 24/7.